Hi everyone. It's been a while. In case you've been living under a rock bigger than the one I've been under, vibe coding has caused a frenzy amongst lawyers. Others are supporting it, others are against it, and that's just what I wanted to discuss today. And essentially, what vibe coding is, it's basically lawyers who are using tools like Claude, Gemini, Manus AI to build AI applications in a short period of time. And I've seen many lawyers this week post about building their own applications. And as someone who reviews enterprise software, I was just curious about what kind of an impact an industry-wide AI upskilling would have on enterprise software businesses, like some of the ones I review, so like Spellbook, Legora, or Harvey AI. And I also don't want you to get swept up in a frenzy based on a vibe. And the big elephant in the room, and I think this is why it's causing such a frenzy, is that if you can type a prompt and get an application and build this application within a few hours or within a few days, why would you pay hundreds of dollars for enterprise software? Mind you, this is the same question lawyers were asked when AI took over the market. If I can ask ChatGPT a question and get a contract drafted by it, why do I need a lawyer? And I think it's the same situation that we're currently seeing right now, which is something new has come onto the market and people are asking questions. And I think that's why it's causing such a frenzy, I guess. It's exciting to see regular attorneys not only consume legal tech products, but also create their own software solutions. If you work in a niche area of the law, I work in bankruptcy, right? No legal tech company is coming to rescue. That's a fact. Actually, there's a new bankruptcy AI software recently that I just took a look at. It's called 11 something. I'll do a video on it. No legal tech company is coming to rescue simply because it's just not a viable business to focus on something so niche. And so these are the pockets of opportunities that these vibe coders are taking advantage of. And you could do the same if you wanted to. I'll be making a video on an idea bank I've created of different legal tech ideas you can build companies around. So on my website, I have labeled it Idea Bank. And so I'm going to be working on it for the next couple of weeks. And it's just me putting up ideas for those who want to create their own applications, want to join other people. So the whole purpose of this Idea Bank is for people who are looking for ideas to build legal tech companies around. Well, like, hey, I have the skills, I have the time, I'm interested in this field, but I really don't know where to start and what's popular. And the reason why I'm saying what's popular is because I put counters here. And every time someone joins the team or this project, so if someone wants to join the regulatory tracker, they can. If they want to join this M&A tracker, these are all ideas, by the way. And so I'll be building that up, more on that another day. I read an interesting article about a banking law associate who created an application over the weekend, and it has been rolled out throughout the whole firm. I think it's a British firm. I also read about someone who just vibe coded and ended up getting VC capital to make the application into an actual viable business. And just this week, I saw many lawyers showcasing these apps, and they created them in response to this post by Jamie. So, and because I'm part of the legal tech community, I see these kind of posts. I'm not connected with him, but I see these posts. And so he was just talking about vibe coding and he was encouraging people to do so. And he was giving away credits to use Manus AI, encouraging people to vibe code. And, a bunch of people were very much interested in and they took part in this hackathon that they arranged, him and a few friends, Manus AI and others. And so what Jamie did was he used Gemini 3 to recreate a lightweight version of Harvey, Legora, and Spellbook's core features in a single weekend, as he says in his post. He held a hackathon for lawyers to create legal tech applications. And if you went through the comments, you'll see what I mean when I said that some needs are just so niche that a legal tech company to be built around it could be quite difficult. For instance, Abigail here has listed a few, like a matter budgeting tool. Something like that is a great idea if you have clients or if you as lawyers want a matter budgeting tool, that's great. It's so niche that someone wouldn't build a whole company around it. Client intaking, most firms like Clio, contract lifecycle management tools, transaction management tools, have intake, things like that. And so if you go through this, you'll find a bunch of really cool ideas like UCC, financing statements, preparing those documents, an app that does that. And so you'll see what I mean. And some of these ideas are, really, really, really cool. These are the benefits of knowing how to use AI to solve your own pain points. And the good thing is that you're probably not alone in your niche experience. So it's always encouraged if you can vibe code and you find a pain point and you really don't see anything in the market, it's really encouraged for you to do something like that. And Jamie has been so gracious to compile all of his and other people's vibe coded work from the recent hackathon on this website, Legal Quants. Everything is open sourced, and I've also discovered a lot of new legal tech startup ideas that I'd also be adding to my idea bank from the comment section. So stay tuned. So why am I not vibe coding different projects? I did think about vibe coding, by the way, and maybe showcasing it on this channel. But the reason why I didn't do that is quite simple, actually. It's the same reason as some of the people in the comment section who were suggesting ideas and have no intention of building the legal tech ideas. So when I started this YouTube channel, I was coding and creating different products way before no-code platforms and tools like Manus AI were available, way before Spellbooks and some of these enterprise softwares came on the market. Other than it being time consuming, the founder of one of the first legal tech companies I made a video on, who worked at Microsoft, he didn't tell me not to build apps directly, but by working with him, it became pretty clear to me that I could never produce the same quality of work that he could, simply because we have built different bases of knowledge over the years. And no matter how many fancy tools I have to build applications, just because I can doesn't mean I should. And my time is better spent elsewhere because he'll just be better at it than I ever could be. And that just became quite evident. And I wanted to focus more on where I have more advantages and, where my time is better spent. So this is a good segue to my concerns with vibe coding. The first and obvious concern is data protection. Also, most of the people posting these apps are not using them in their actual legal work in their law firms. I'm not too sure if your law firm will allow you to use these apps with clients' work without going through hoops and hurdles. Maybe even the firm taking your idea and building the same tool for themselves, and then you really end up with not gaining much from this, anyways. Yeah, so I don't think most firms will allow you to do that. You would typically have to use like enterprise software, and there's so many processes that will go into a firm making a decision to use certain software. I also wonder if the movement towards vibe coding is a symptom of legal tech fatigue. There are thousands of legal tech products on the market. Some are cheap, others will cost you a fortune. I've seen some that cost even 30,000 a year. And the question is, why flood the market when there are already plenty of tools? Just on Legal Tech Hub's directory, I pulled up 3,000 tools. And that's probably not even a comprehensive list. I know it's a lot because I also struggle when I'm trying to make a video and I'm trying to pick the best, say, contract drafting tool. I have to go through hundreds and thousands of contract drafting tools just to pick the best. And, you're going through demos, you're reading articles online, you're reading the different websites, you're watching videos, you're doing all this just to find the best tools in one specific area of legal tech. So that just tells you how many there are. So this points to a huge problem, in my opinion, where people are like, I'm not even going to try to find the right tool because it's such a daunting task. I have a better chance of building the tool myself. And why should I pay company for something I can do over a weekend? And these tools are not that expensive. Most of them hover around $100 per month, which in most cases, it's covered by your law firm. It really isn't that much compared to what you're charging your clients as a lawyer. So as lawyers, we can justify how much we charge clients, but we're failing to justify legal tech companies' fees. It just seems quite odd to me. For instance, if there's a great tool on the market, let's say Legatix, that already helps with bundling signature packs and offers other transaction management features, why go through building multiple tools that already exist at a reasonable price? I'm just looking at one of the posts that Jamie posted where he was saying he found, he was complaining about Adobe, and then he was pointing out some pain points he was having with signature packets and copying and pasting and things like that, which I discuss in my Legatix videos, by the way. That's what Legatix is solving, this exact issue. And they also have built other issues around transaction management software. By the way, not sponsored by Legatix, but I'm just saying, like, tools like that. The reason why my YouTube channel exists is because I'm trying to highlight tools like that, and I'm trying to say, hey guys, there are these tools on the market, because you're not the only one who's going through this. There's a bunch of us who's all going through this. So another one that exists is Spellbook. Spellbook already exists. Why would we go through the pain of trying to create a Spellbook in 1.5 hours, or trying to clone a Spellbook in 1.5 hours? And I could think of alternatives that are way better and way cheaper than Spellbook, by the way. I've always thought All Drafts is one of the best drafting tools. I did a video on All Drafts. So there's so many great tools out there, and I think there's just so much already on the market that people think that these tools don't exist. Or maybe I think what's going on is that, because a lot of people are also discovering some of these tools in the comment section, and I think if they find out the price, they'd really be like, oh, okay, so why are we building this? That's just my opinion. I also came across a post by Horace Wu, where he links to an article he wrote where he raises some really good points. This is the article he wrote, by the way. Please check it out. It's really, really, really good. He's a good writer, by the way, and he raises some really, really good points. I really enjoyed reading his blog, but this post in particular regarding vibe coding is a must read. And he says, okay, so you've built this app. Now who's going to maintain this app? Who's going to keep up with the updates? What's going to happen with issues around security and client data? How do we ensure these apps are reliable? Who's fixing bugs, hallucinations, and things like that? And he emphasizes the best point against all of this, and that's malpractice suits, which is, even if a tool works 9 out of 10 times, that one time it doesn't could lead to a major lawsuit. And so when lawyers are paying for enterprise software, they're paying for sort of insurance or sort of assurance from these legal tech companies that these problems don't arise. And what is dangerous is when a product that works and it doesn't raise any errors. That's something he also pointed out, which is like, if something's built by someone who's in the field, like let's say coders and things like that, if something doesn't work, you'll get error codes. And the worst thing is something that doesn't work and then just doesn't give you error codes. He also mentioned something that I'm ashamed to admit that I did early on in my life, which is, for example, I walked into a grocery store, seeing the prices and thinking, you know what, I could grow my food at a much cheaper rate in my backyard. And this fallacy quickly becomes clear to you that the person who's doing the job you think isn't doing much is actually doing more than you think they are. The same thing with insurance. My uncle works in insurance, wrote an article a few years ago in response to an outcry about, rising insurance costs. And, people were saying, they just like banks. We just giving them money, they save money and then they use it when we ask for it. And what you're paying for is not that money being stored. What you're paying for is assurance that when things go wrong, they can pay you back. They can pay whatever you're claiming. That is what you're paying for. You're paying for assurance. You're not just paying for money. You're paying for discipline. You're paying for growth in that money. That's what you're paying for. You're also paying for the fact that when you claim, sometimes you're actually claiming more than you've actually contributed. And this company, this insurance company, will down the road, based on their calculations, eventually they'll make a profit. But you can't say, I'll just save my own money in an emergency fund, and then when a medical issue or a death happens, I'll just pay from my pocket. Because if that worked, everyone would do that. And clearly, because once you have access to your account, you really don't exercise discipline. I also want to bring up this interesting point. Anson Lai made a post saying that he built his version of Harvey and Spellbook, similar to the post that we saw by Jamie. It's a similar post. He was basically just saying he built his own Spellbook and his own Harvey AI. I, for one, have never seen Harvey AI. I've never seen Legora. I've never seen Latera. I think it's called Elevate. I think that's the one that I briefly saw, and I think I was told it was costing 30,000 a year. So some of these softwares I've just never seen. So it would be difficult for me to assume that whatever they mention on their website is the full extent of what they're offering, so that you can build like a light version of the app that will get you similar results. So even if you copy what's on their website and decided, hey, you know what, this is what they say this tool can do. Let me write a prompt and then build a lightweight version. Why am I paying 30,000 a year? And if this is true, if that is in fact true, that you can build a lightweight version of Harvey AI, there's no need to be paying them thousands of dollars for it. That would be alarming. That would mean these legal tech companies are raising billions and hiring all these experts to build what can be built by the layman in a weekend. And a huge but, this could be true. There's a company that always flags my videos. It's Jura. I made a video of a demo they made public. They made this demo public, and I made a video and I uploaded it, and I was asked to remove the video because I was saying that you aren't getting anything unique. And so some companies don't give access through public demos because you'll realize that you aren't getting anything special for the kind of money you're paying. There are people like me who will analyze the competitors, who will, go through all these demos, who will read all the stuff, and will tell you instantly, you aren't getting what your money is worth. So, but whether there's a legal tech bubble is a conversation for another day. I've always advocated for legal tech companies to make their demos or snapshots of their products available to the public so they can see what's being offered. And I think because a lot of legal tech companies are afraid of competitors taking their ideas, also afraid of competitors getting to know everything about them. They've tried to shield themselves. But then it's now led to a situation where the legal tech community doesn't have insight behind the curtains to see everything you're offering. And so they're just saying to themselves, based on the information available to us, let's just try to cut these legal tech companies out of the process altogether. And it's ironic because a lot of legal tech companies embarked on a race to make lawyers redundant, at least entry-level lawyers. And now lawyers are trying to remove legal tech companies from the picture. So back to Horace Wu again, who's skeptical about this whole vibe coding democratizing legal software. I think it's the same arguments that were raised when AI was introduced in the legal tech community. And some people genuinely use ChatGPT for legal advice and things like that. And when AI was introduced in the legal industry, people were like, you don't need a lawyer anymore. The billable hour is going to die. We've got ChatGPT now. We've got all these other tools, no need for lawyers. But the problem is still legal fees are soaring. Actually, I saw a recent article that just said that some firms are now charging over 4,000 an hour, more on that. So it's very strange how we're having more tools that are flooding the market. And our assumption was that it would make legal minds actually more accessible, and it's done the reverse. It's actually made lawyers more valuable. We'll focus on that in another video. Before we call it a day, I want to close by saying that lawyers spend money on CLE courses, memberships to directories and associations, and they pay money to attend events. How is paying for one more tool going to affect lawyers? I don't think it's really, that big of a deal that you have to create your own applications. It's $100 a month. And for lawyers that charge thousands, I don't think it's that much. Now, if someone was targeting teachers, or maybe I would argue maybe even some family lawyers, it would be a truckload of money. So how is paying for one more tool going to bankrupt a lawyer? I don't think it's going to. When you see some of these tools that cost 30,000 a year, you start to feel as though you're missing out on great tools. And when you also see the prices of the cheapest ones on the market, you also start to think you're being ripped off. And you start to think, if I could just vibe code it, I'll do that. But just remember, there's an amazing tool out there that will fit your budget. And the company that made that tool is also trying to get a hold of you and reach you. In a few days, I'll post a video on one of those companies. It's called Brackets. Speak to you guys soon. Take care.